Now I've got an awesome grip video for you. So many times when people make a grip video, you never know exactly how to hold your hands on there. Well, I'm gonna tell you the exact kind of grip I'm using, the exact kind of glove that I'm using, and show you how I mark this up so you can match it up and you can get an identical replica of exactly what I'm doing with my grip so you can feel how I'd recommend gripping the club. So let's get into the first thing, which would be the knuckles. Now, a lot of times you'll hear, I wanna see 2 knuckles on my left hand, 3 knuckles, but there's all kinds of problems with this. For example, I'm gonna keep my grip exactly the same. If I lower my hands, I can see all 4 knuckles. If I raise my hands, I can't see any knuckles. So it depends on how your position, where your ball position is, where your head is. All that just gets too hard. Let's get rid of that once and for all. What I've done here is I've drawn a red line on my glove and a red line on this grip. Now, a few weeks ago, Golf Pride called me and they said, Clay, I love your videos. We'd love to support the channel. We have these brand new Golf Pride MCC grips, MCC, excuse me, which are different colors. So you can buy them any team color that you have and match up your favorite team with the color of the grip. I'm a Kentucky Wildcat guy, so I went with Wildcat Blue. If you're not a Wildcat fan, hey, sorry, but that's what it is. So on top of that, they wanted to pay me quite a bit of money to feature this grip in a video, and I thought to myself, where have you been my whole life? I do grip videos all the time. I'd love for you to pay me money every single time I make a video. But all jokes aside, thanks for Golf Pride. And if you're FootJoy, they're not sponsoring me, but hey, hit me up. I'd be glad to take your money too. So what I've done here is I've drawn up this grip to make a perfect replica. And there's a perforation. This is a FootJoy Weather Soft glove. So if you want to replicate this identically, I have different markings on here. I'll show you. The perforation's on the right side of the thumb, my right. If I grip down the club and I get into what I would consider to be a neutral grip, that should make a line with the outside of this logo. So now there, I have my thumb perfectly in line with this grip, and that's what it should feel like to me. You'll notice that my thumb and my index finger are cinched together, and then from there, I'm gonna keep that same alignment and just go to the back of the grip like it would be normally. So if I was to have a weaker grip, that would be on this side. That line would go to the left of this line. It's a little harder to draw the ball from there. If I had a stronger grip, it would be a little bit more on this side. Yes, I would see more knuckles, but again, that's confusing depending on how you're holding your arms. I think this is the perfect way to see if you're lined up perfectly. Now I'm just gonna slide it back on the grip from there, and then let's go ahead and hit a nice little draw here. So a draw is kind of my stock shot. Let's go ahead and get one on the board, then we'll talk about how different grip changes can affect this shot shape. A little bit of a pull, hadn't really warmed up today. Yeah, as a draw, 208, a little bit to the left. That's all right, I'll make a few more swings, get loosened up, and we'll talk about how this changes with your alignment of your grip. So the next thing I'm gonna talk about here is if I open up my hand, again with this FootJoy glove, there's a little triangle here, and I've drawn a line from the tip of that triangle on this glove, so you can recreate this at home. And it goes all the way down, and you see it cuts down about 1/3 into this gray piece here. And another line that kind of is at the end of the butt cap where the grip would be finishing up. So if I take my alignment correctly, and I take my normal grip, and I open my hand, it will basically fit in that little slot like that. It should look just like this. So if you want to pause this video, draw the lines on there exactly what this looks like, you can do that. Now, the reason that that's important is because if I get it too much across my hand like that, too much in the fingers, it's really going to be loose. It's going to flop around in my hand. So if I go too much this way, it flops around in my hand. If I go too much this way and it gets too much in the palm, kind of splitting these gray pads in here versus like that, it's like that, then it's going to be very difficult to get any lag in the downswing. You really can't cock your wrist. So I have to grip it across my hands enough to where I can get lag and then release the club out in front. So what we're doing here is we're putting the club in a position that we can use the wrist properly. Now, if I want to hit one a little bit shorter, let's say I'm between clubs, I showed you my standard grip there, and let's say the standard one goes 208, 210. Now, if I wanted to go maybe a little bit shorter than that, but I didn't want to go all the way to say a 7-iron, this is a 6-iron, what I could do is I could take that blue butt cap that's on there, and I could slide that off my hand about 1 inch. So now I've got about 1 inch of grip between where the butt cap used to end and where it ends now. So essentially I've choked up about 1 inch on this club, and it's really easy to see with this blue butt cap how much is that hanging off the hand there. Now that's going to take about a half a club off of this. So it's going to now go between what a 6-iron and a 7-iron would go. I'm guessing this should go, if I hit it nice and solid, somewhere around 200 yards. Let's go ahead and give that a whirl. There we go, hit that one really nice and solid, and there we go, 201. So it took about 10 yards off by choking up on it. I could also go the other way and now take this blue butt cap, bring it all the way up to where my pinky is almost covering it, and now I've made the club about a 1/2 inch longer. If I had to go a little bit longer than 210, so let's say again I'm between a 6-iron and a 5-iron, and I just want a little extra, I'm going to go ahead and make the club a little bit longer. It's almost out of my hand. I don't particularly like this most of the time because you can lose a little bit of accuracy, but I'll do it for demonstration purposes here. Different people may like this better or worse, but I can probably get closer to that 215 distance, maybe even 220 with this longer club now. Not the most solid strike, and it went 202. So again, if you don't hit it solid, it's not going to go the distance that you want. And that's kind of why I lose a little bit of accuracy when I slide it down to the end like this. But let me go ahead and hit one more, just for demonstration purposes, to show you that it can go a little bit farther if you do it this way. There we go. 211. Hey, I just don't have it in me today. Not a huge fan of lengthening the grip, but definitely if you want to go between clubs, choke up on it a little bit. Now, the green lines on the bottom of my hand are where I feel like this club is being leveraged. So if I take this up like this, if I was going to do a fishing rod and cast this out, or I could imagine if I turn this club sideways, so I gripped it sideways and I said, okay, I'm going to now hammer. So my hand's turned sideways and I'm hammering this into the ball. That would be a very strong grip. It would be very behind the golf ball. That's kind of the motion I'm feeling like. But then at the same time, as I'm doing that hammering, I'm making the logo of my glove face toward the target, like this. When you put that hammering motion and that logo motion toward the target, you put those together, that's what the pros are doing to get tons of shaft lean and to release this club out in front. Now, the last thing I want to do there is take my index finger and my thumb on my right hand and push that. I don't want to flip this club like this. Again, I want to hammer it this way and at the same time roll my hands to where the logo is now pointing toward the target. I do those together and now I have a lot of shaft lean. I can get a nice tight little draw on it. I'm really going to hit a lot of solid shots. So when you mark up your glove, mark these green lines at the bottom. Feel like those are pulling down on this grip, like almost like I was going to take this little blue cap here on the end of it and I was going to pop that off. I was going to yank down on that, and if I go into a golf posture, that would be me doing this, releasing it out in front like that. I add the logo turn to it, and those two motions together are a good golf swing. So let's go ahead and try that out. Again, I'm here. I'm going to pull up on the butt cap with that green lines. This is where I feel like I'm putting the pressure there. And I'm going to present my logo of my glove at the same time. And that's the move that all the pros are doing that allow them to hit it really long, hit a nice draw, and compress the heck out of the golf ball. There we go. Nice and solid on that one. And again, 207, very happy with that, right down the pipe. And what I'm focusing on right there is putting pressure into the club. If those two fingers, popping that butt into the butt cap of the club off and not putting pressure in with these two fingers. Now, that's a very common mistake that people make. And in fact, almost everybody that I know has been told to square up the face by rolling the hands over. When you roll the hands over, all of a sudden, I don't have that shaft lean. When I use these fingers like I talked about, I have shaft lean, and then I'm presenting the logo of the glove. That's very different because my forearms never really rolled over that much there. That's very different than squaring up the face by doing this. So I have a preview of a fantastic video that's going to walk you through exactly the right way to do this. I call it the anti-roll method. The roll method is rolling the arms to try to square the face up. The anti-roll method is doing it like the pros are, so you can finally get this bent wrist, this bowed wrist coming through contact, so you can finally get shaft lean, release the club out in front, get rid of that standing up out of your posture, get rid of that flipping the golf club, all these problems that we have. I'll play a preview of that video here in just 1 second. All you need to do is go ahead and click the card that pops up on the screen. If you don't see that card that pops up somewhere on the screen, go down to the description below and click the link there and you'll get instant access to this video. I can't wait to share with you the anti-roll method. Let's go and get started right now. So here's the bottom line. If you've been taught to roll the club in the early downswing, that causes the shaft to get steep. And that steep club causes all your problems. It causes you to hit it way behind the big hitters and way inconsistent with your quality of strikes. So you're in the tall grass and the trees and the hazards all day long. Now the great news is this. There's really only 2 pieces that you need to know to fix all these problems. The first one is we need to learn the proper way to square up the club face. Instead of rolling the forearms and getting steep, there's another way that the pros do this. Once you learn this right way to square up the club face, then you can shallow out from the inside and everything starts to fit together. Now I'm going to teach you this right now in what I call the anti-roll method. You may also hear this called the motorcycle move or the tour twist, but let's walk through exactly how to do that. Now what I want you to do is go ahead and go kind of in the last parallel in the downswing. So here, I want my hips to go ahead and be opening up. I want my club to be parallel with the ground, and I want my hands to be in front of my right thigh. Now, when I take my grip, you're going to notice that when I do this, the club face is basically straight up and down. So if I'm looking at it from this angle, you'll see the face is straight up and down, and my logo of my glove is pointed out in front of me. Now from there,